I was really worried because I'd had a family friend who'd had paranoid psychotic schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And who had actually gone on to harm someone and ended somebody else's life and then ended his own life. So just like for me to have these thoughts of hurting someone, which was, I now know, was brought about by having this responsibility for this little person, and my brain just going, what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. Everything.
Yeah, exactly. And so my brain was trying to identify every little tiny thing, and you could end up going mad and stabbing the health visitor with a knife, so you need to get your husband to hide every knife in the house. But luckily the psychiatrist was able to say, look, the symptoms that you have sound like something called OCD thoughts. I remember when I got a job as a nursery nurse, I had this thought pop into my head that, oh my goodness, you're working with children and you could be a paedophile. You might be. There's nothing, but nothing is further from who I am and what I'm about. The thought of that horrifies me, and that's why OCD is such a horrible disease, because it turns the things that you find most distasteful and unpleasant. So back then it was the idea of hurting someone else's children, and then when my daughter was born, it was the thought of harming her and the thought of harming me, because she was my responsible flagpole now. When we got our kittens, they were so small and vulnerable that I found that I'd get intrusive thoughts about drop kicking them across the floor. Again, I wouldn't dream of doing that. And I adore them. They're lovely little things. But it was that thing, oh my goodness, I could cause this harm. I could cause this hurt to something.
Yeah.
I get thoughts about, if I'm having an episode, I'll have thoughts of pushing, walk past an old lady, and I'll have a thought about pushing them into the oncoming traffic. That was, goodness me, I was so distressed with it. Looking back, I don't know how I got through it, but I did, and I think, you do.
I think it sounds like you did because you were honest about it. I
think that's a big thing. I was really frightened about opening up about it, and that's, I come from a family of, my dad used to volunteer for Mind and has had, lifelong difficulties with anxiety and depression too, and so I've come from a culture that's very much not stiff upper lip. But I was really, I think, bringing it back to the whole motherhood thing, suddenly I was worried that they were going to take her away if I owned up to having these thoughts about damaging her. But then I'd stand at the top of the stairs with her, and I'd have this thought of throwing her down the stairs, or I had a sharp knife, it wasn't a knife, it was a sharp pen. It was really pretty, really ornate, and I'd had it. My then husband and I had it for the guest book at our wedding, so it was a nice pen to have around. At the time, it had happy memories, and every time I picked it up, I'd get this thought of plunging it into her. And so in the end, I just threw it away. I just couldn't bear to have it around, because it was so triggering, and it was just crazy. It was really distressing. It's like if you have food poisoning, and you're vomiting, I see that I was able to see the intrusive thoughts as the vomiting, the symptom of the illness, not the thing that was wrong with me. And I think that was really key. And then because of that, I was able to work on the anxiety itself. It's not about a typical mother-daughter relationship. It's about the sort of liminal space in between.
Yeah, and it's about your personal experiences. Again, which is why I like to concentrate on people's personal experience, because it's not what people understand. And if we keep, using these cliches of what it is supposed to be like, then that's just problematic, and it causes more
it's so damaging. I think motherhood in general, we are fed these ideas about what we ought to be feeling, and particularly with social media.
Yeah.
We're fed this idea of what motherhood is and what successful motherhood